cooking. And Dr. Elizabeth is going to lecture on eating, fighting inflammation with available foods, glorious one-pot meals. So my pleasure to introduce and to meet Dr. Elizabeth Yarnell.
Thank you so much, Mark, for that wonderful introduction. Can you hear me and see me?
I hear you and see you.
Okay, good. I can't see myself, so that's very cool. I don't know why that is.
You should be on the upper top screen or on the side.
I know. I'm looking.
Yes, that beautiful woman. She's wearing purple.
I am wearing purple. Yes. Yes. Let me see if I can get my head not cut off. There we go. So thank you so much for that lovely introduction, Mark. And this is my first time at NewLifeExpo, and I am so excited to be here. So I am thrilled that we're doing it virtually this year, even though it means that the world is in a really strange place.
It's a little different.
It's a little different. It's a little different. So did you want to stay on with me, or would you like me to go into my presentation?
Oh, go for it. Do your thing.
Okay, I am going to share my screen here and launch my presentation, which sometimes is a little tricky as we all navigate through learning how to use Zoom.
Oh, you're doing it great. It's perfect.
Okay, so can you see my screen?
Oh yeah, healthy eating. I love it.
Okay, excellent. So let's see if I can go through here. So good morning. I am Dr. Elizabeth Yarnell, and I am so excited to talk today about how we can help our bodies. Oh, I'm losing all of my equipment here. How we can help our bodies feel better and be healthier and more resilient and more resistant to illness right now. Now, maybe more than ever, we're becoming aware of just how precarious health can be and how important it is to safeguard it. Before I forget, if you have any questions, go ahead and use the question, the Q&A field, and throw those in, and hopefully we'll have time at the end to go ahead and talk through them. So pop them in there, and at the end I will go ahead and get through and talk about, answer all of your questions. So hopefully we can do that. And in the meantime, I'm going to try to make my technology work. So my mission is to help people improve their health by improving their nutritional status to reduce inflammation in their bodies. Before we get too far into this, I want to let everyone know that I have COVID-19 testing available at my clinic, and these are at-home tests. And at the end of my presentation today, I will tell you more about how you can get a hold of these. It's very exciting to have them. So stick around to the end and we'll talk about it later. So my journey into the world of natural health, there we go, began early in 1999, one night when I went to sleep as usual and I woke the next morning blind in my right eye. In short order, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. Why is this not working here? Hopefully you guys can see my screen because I'm having trouble seeing my screen, but hopefully you can.
Oh, we see it.
Okay, good.
Yes, so, perfect.
Excellent. This was me at 29 years old. It was 2 weeks before my 30th birthday, and I learned that 80% of MS patients experience significant disability within 10 years of diagnosis. Multiple sclerosis, or MS, is a degenerative autoimmune disease where chronic inflammation damages the nervous system and short circuits the nerves and that control abilities. The latest number that I just heard from the National MS Society is that more than 1 million Americans are affected by MS in some way. And currently, MS is considered to be incurable. I refused to accept that this was my fate. I had to find a way to keep myself out of that wheelchair by my 40th birthday. According to my MS doctors, my only hope was to take an injectable pharmaceutical drug that would suppress and otherwise alter my immune system. I was not a huge fan of this approach, not in the least due to my severe needle phobia. You might be able to relate to that. I had to find some way that I could make my future better without needles, hopefully. It was my then fiance, now husband, who suggested that it might have something to do with what I'd been eating. And I had to admit he might have had a point. Here we are just a few months before my MS diagnosis, on the day we got engaged on a mountaintop in Tibet. For the 10 years leading up to my diagnosis with multiple sclerosis, I had been living on a diet of Diet Coke, Crystal Light, and gummy bears. Maybe it was no wonder that my body would start to fall apart on me after this. I was not treating it the way I should be. And what I was learning was that immunity is based in the gut. So after my diagnosis, I started studying nutrition and trying to figure out what is a healthy diet. Everything I learned pointed to the same conclusions, that whole foods are better than processed foods. I thought, well, I can do a whole foods-based diet, but I didn't know how to cook, and I wasn't really sure what a healthy diet was. So I began to take cooking classes, watching the Food Network, reading cookbooks, but I learned it takes a lot of time to prepare all of your foods, all of your meals from scratch. And fatigue is a hallmark of MS. Inflammation is exhausting. I was inspired to simplify my cooking. I threw everything into a cast iron Dutch oven and flash cooked it at high heat. Voila, dinner was ready in 45 minutes. Quick, easy, and healthy too. Then my college roommate came to visit for a week, and at the end of the week, she asked me to teach her how to cook like I did. So I wrote a cookbook. And I was awarded a patent for my cooking process. Nobody ever accused me of being an underachiever. In many ways, I believe that the key to health is as simple as choosing whole foods instead of processed foods and avoiding the chemicals that are in our food supply. So I toured the country talking about whole foods and teaching cooking classes and teaching that if we could just eat whole foods instead of processed foods, we'd all feel a lot better. Let's see. All the while, I was continuing my studies and I got a degree as a traditional naturopathic doctor. In 2014, I gave a TED Talk titled Poisons in Our Everyday Foods, where I warned about the contaminants in our processed food supply. Dr. Terry Wahls, a fellow MS sufferer and author of the Wahls Protocol, asserts that we can influence our state of health through our food and lifestyle choices and not be victims of our diagnoses. So yes, let's look at how we can help our bodies stay healthy and resilient to fight off disease, even when it's all around us, by sticking with whole foods. So my mantra is whole foods are better than processed foods. But let's start with the basics. What is a whole food? Well, a whole food is a food that it's in its original state without anything added. Our bodies evolved to eat and process the plants that grow on this planet. Each part of the plant is important to complete digestion. We need complete digestion in order to be able to absorb and assimilate all the nutrients in that plant. Many people are sensitive to additives and preservatives in our processed foods, and it causes inflammation in their body. Each person's gut is unique, which means there's no single diet that is right for everyone. In fact, when it comes to diets, one size does not fit all. For instance, lettuce is one of my most inflammatory foods. Lettuce. What could seem more innocuous than lettuce? But when I eat lettuce, I get new symptoms from inflammation. Because I've been diagnosed with MS, we can call them MS symptoms, but it doesn't really matter what the symptoms are because they're all manifestations of internal inflammation. Inflammation equals symptoms. Or to put it another way, symptoms are signs of inflammation. We might think of inflammation as swelling, and in fact, certainly the swelling from inflammation can be very visible, as it was here when I turned my ankle in a jazzercise class. But inflammation can be hidden too. We might call inflammation in the head a headache or a migraine. We might call inflammation in the sinuses might show up as a runny or stuffy nose or chronic sinus infections. Inflammation in the gut can produce visible bloating or even just the sensation of being bloated. and it can cause acid reflux, cramping, gas, and other digestive pains. Diarrhea or constipation, inflammation of the bowels or colon. Doctors may diagnose this inflammation and give it a name like ulcerative colitis, irritable bowel syndrome, or gastroparesis. But these diagnoses are just really names. They don't tell us what's really going on, what is causing it, or how to fix it. So, inflammation of the joints, arthritis. Inflammation of the muscles, fibromyalgia. Can you see how it matters less how the inflammation manifests and more that it's there in the first place? A medical diagnosis can put a name to our suffering, but it really doesn't tell us why or why it's happening or how to resolve it. As a certified LEAP therapist, I rely on state-of-the-art food sensitivity testing to really guide me in designing the right anti-inflammatory diet for people who are suffering from inflammation. But I don't want to forget to tell you about the at-home COVID-19 tests that I have available at my clinic. So these tests for COVID-19 antibodies, stick around and I will tell you a little bit more about that at the end here. So what should we be eating? We want to be healthier, more resistant to disease, more resilient. Well, I really believe, as I said, that we should focus on organic, whole, unprocessed foods. Simply by focusing on whole foods, we'll by default avoid a lot of the additives and preservatives in processed foods. As a general guideline, we should avoid eating things that are synthetic, as the human body didn't evolve to be able to process additives that were made in laboratories out of non-foodstuffs. More specifically, one thing that we can do now to stay healthier and more resilient to illness is to eat more vegetables for their many nutrients that our bodies need to function. Even though we might not be able to get out to buy fresh vegetables and fresh groceries as often as we'd like during this quarantine period, it doesn't mean that we can't achieve a healthier diet and add more vegetables to our diet. So frozen vegetables are picked and immediately frozen. Sometimes they're even fresher than the vegetables we see at the store because sometimes those vegetables have been en route from far, far away from their growing location. Frozen vegetables are already washed and peeled and cut, and you can just shake out what you need each time. It makes it so easy. Here are some vegetables that you can easily find in the frozen food section. I'm not going to read all of them off because I'm going to tell you how to get this whole list in just a few minutes. We know that many canned goods are lined with BPA. So the good news is that a lot of things like beans and olives and water chestnuts can just rinse the BPA right off them. But it means that glass jars might be preferable to cans when possible. And just a reminder, don't store leftovers in open cans. Transfer them to a better storage container. So canned or jarred foods that are helpful during this time to making healthy foods and healthy methods include some of these things. Again, there's going to be on the list that I'm going to give you at the end. So drying veggies is one of the oldest methods of preserving a harvest. These are some of the dried veggies that I use frequently in my cooking, which leads me into Glorious One Pot Meals. Glorious One Pot Meals is a quick and easy technique to create a nutritious and delicious meal out of any ingredients that you have around in your kitchen, in your freezer or pantry. Glorious One Pot Meals are super flexible and can be made to meet any dietary preferences with unlimited ingredient and flavor combinations. The secret is that everything is substitutable. For instance, I'm one of those people who cannot stand cilantro. You might notice that I rarely include it in my recipes for this reason, but that doesn't mean that you can't put cilantro into your Glorious One Pot Meals anytime you want to. So would it be easier if I just showed you how to make your own Glorious One Pot Meals? I am going to go ahead and play a video, and I just realized that I may have not added the click the video thing on the sharing. So hang on a sec. I'm going to stop my share real quick, maybe, and see if I can make sure that my sound is working on this video here. Stop share. Give me half a second. Share. Oops, that's not what I want. I've had this problem before where I did not click this share computer sound and then nobody could
Yep,
hear
you're doing
anything.
good though. You sound great.
Okay, hang on. We're gonna play the video here. Let me get my screen back up. Where is it? Not. Okay, here we go. Hey, this is Elizabeth Yarnell here again with another fabulous, glorious one-pot meal. Today we're going to do chili pepper salmon. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to use my largest 5.5 quart Dutch oven. This one is oval. And I'm going to give it a quick spray all the way around with some olive oil. Excellent. Now we're going to take our salmon fillets. These are sockeye salmon fillets. They are rock solid frozen. You might be able to hear them from my freezer. This is such a great way to cook out of your freezer or pantry during this weird quarantine time when it may not be that easy to get to the grocery store. I'm just gonna try to get these in a single layer as much as possible. They might not even go. All right, there goes that. Okay, I'm going to give the salmon a quick little spray of olive oil to themselves. Just a little extra moistening there. And then I am going to put in our lemons. And I'm just going to drop these in on top. That's one whole lemon I just cut up. So now it can look really pretty there. And then I'm going to use our seasoning. And today I'm going to use a chili pepper mix of seasoning. And I'm going to sprinkle it in. Ooh, there it goes. There it goes. All right. And this chili pepper is a local Denver company called Senor Gordon's. Really fun and easy to find. Totally clean, no preservatives. Then I'm going to put in some chopped up potatoes that I went ahead and cut up. These are red potatoes. Excellent. And now for our final ingredient, which I just realized I forgot to pull out of the fridge. It's going to be, close that fridge door. It's going to be some frozen green beans. Woo, right in there. Come on. Come on. Hang on, I gotta grab the rest out. Oop. Okay. Some frozen green beans. Now, normally when I have glorious one-pot meals, I like to include a little bit more in terms of vegetables, but we can only do what we can do right now, right? Gotta live out of what we have. Can't go to the grocery store every day. So the last thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my olive oil spray and I'm going to spray the inside of the lid. And then I'm going to put the lid back onto the top of, come on, top of our pot. Thank you. With a nice clean seal. It's gonna go into the oven for about 53 minutes and I will see you when it's done. All right, it's the moment of truth. Let's see what's going on here. We're going to open the lid. Oh, look at that. Let me get a spoon so we can fish out some stuff and see what is going on. This took about an hour. Ooh, look at that. I maybe left it in a little bit too long. I was going on the glorious one-pot meals smell method of figuring out when things are done. So check it out. Actually, it looks pretty good. I'm very excited to try out this Senor Gordon's chili, what's it called? Chili powder, and see how it goes. So thanks so much for being part of this Glorious One Pot meal. You can check out this and other salmon recipes and Glorious One Pot meals. Oh, and I think I'm going to put some roasted sesame seeds on as a little garnish. Ooh, check that out. All right, so that video worked. Go on over to gloriousonePotmeals.com and get my free ultimate checklist to stocking your pantry and freezer. That's going to have all of those vegetables listed that we went through earlier today, and it will have everything there for you, and you can download it for free. So go ahead and head on over there and check it out today. So what's our most precious resource? It's the one that money can't buy, right? It's our health. Our health is the most important investment we'll ever make, especially right now. So I hope this inspires you to eat more veggies and more whole foods and be healthier and really safeguard your own health. I wish you all a safe and healthy quarantine. And wait, I didn't forget. This is my super exciting news. I just received 25 COVID-19 tests, and they're available on a first come, first served basis. So go over to elizabethyarnell.com to pick one up before they're gone. Thanks so much for sticking around with me today. And Mark, thanks for bringing me in here. Enjoy all the rest of the wonderful speakers, but I think we have a few minutes. So do we have any questions that I can answer for anyone? Go ahead, Mark.
Again, one more time, how can people get in touch with you, and how can they get this book, and how can they learn about these meals? This is fantastic. I love it. I mean, I love it.
Oh, good. Oh, good. So the best place to go to learn anything and everything about me is at elizabethyarnell.com.
Hey guys, I put everything in this is Candida, hi.
Hi Candida.
Hi. I put your bio and I put your website so folks can see it.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So yes, Elizabeth Yarnell.
Question.
Okay, good.
The frozen question keeps coming up. Like, is frozen better than fresh, or is it just?
Frozen can be better than fresh if your fresh isn't a good option, right? So, if you don't have access to fresh foods all the time, I don't know about you all, but I think I've been to the grocery store once in the last month, and then frozen is the next best thing, really, because frozen vegetables are really picked at the peak of their ripeness, and they've been cut and washed really sometimes even almost in the fields. So they're super, super fresh in that many ways. So frozen is often a good solution when you don't have access to fresh. I would say it's the second best.
What kind of pot do you use?
So I use a cast iron Dutch oven, like this one. It has to be cast iron and it has to be a Dutch oven because this is the way that the infusion cooking method works for Glorious One Pot meals. But it makes it really easy. These are really heirloom pots. It doesn't have to be enamel coated like this. It can be raw, uncoated cast iron, but it does have to be made of cast iron. And that way your entire meal will cook in about an hour or less.
I love it. So again, it's www.elizabethyarnell.com. So
yes.
ELIZABETHYARNELL.com.
That's exactly right.
What is your favorite meal?
Oh, this is always my deviling question, right? It really depends on what mood I'm feeling in that night. So my favorite meal is the one that I can throw together in, I'm going to say, in less than 10 minutes.
Okay, tell me one.
So you just saw this, another recipe. I'm going to give you some crowd pleasing favorites. I think the most popular recipe in my entire cookbook is called Glorious Macaroni and Cheese. And it's homemade macaroni and cheese with tons of veggies in it and really whatever you want to put in it. And it is absolutely delicious. And you can make it gluten-free and dairy-free, or you can make it traditional with regular dairy cheeses and pastas. You can put everything into this Glorious One Pot meal, and it's such a crowd-pleasing recipe. But there are so many others I like. Another one of my favorites is African peanut butter stew. And I am about to post kind of a riff on that version using almond butter. So keep an eye out on my feeds, on my social media feeds for that recipe. That'll be coming soon.
And somebody asked, they said, I saw milk, bread, and pasta in your pictures. Are they processed?
So milk is not processed, really. I always advocate, if you're going to drink cow's milk, drink whole milk. Is pasta processed? It is. It's ground, but if you know the ingredients of pasta, it's basically wheat and salt and water. So when I really think about processed foods, I think about, let's just take, say, a hot dog, which has who knows how many ingredients, how many additives and preservatives in it that really can trigger inflammation in people's bodies. So the closer you can get to the whole food, the better.
Also with hot dogs, I'm not even sure if people know exactly what animal is in it. So here's another question. For those without physical inflammatory conditions, would it be unnecessary to pursue both food sensitivity and food allergy tests, and instead do food allergy to know what your body is rejecting or not absorbing?
I absolutely agree with that there is validity to do that, even if you're not suffering from, say, an autoimmune disease or chronic inflammation. But really, I have never tested anyone who has no food sensitivities. So if you want to improve, say, your athletic performance or your mental performance, then yes, food sensitivity testing can absolutely help with that, because it'll tell you what you're sensitive to and what you're not.
Now, what is the best food sensitivity test?
I use what's called the mediator release test. It's the MRT. It's put out by Oxford Biotechnologies, and it really is the gold standard of food sensitivity testing. Don't let anybody send you any other direction.
What does that cost?
Well, I offer it in packages in my clinic. Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yes, absolutely. So it's in my clinic and you get the packages, but it's part of a whole series of protocols. So depending on what your issues are, we will design your anti-inflammatory protocols to help resolve that in a couple of different fronts. So we look very holistically at your whole body, at your digestive tract, at your blood and what your blood is reacting to. We look for parasites to see if there's any buggers in there, because I really believe that hidden parasitic infection is way more rampant than we've been led to believe, and it can lead to so many inflammatory issues for people.
So I have a question. Mm-hmm. From my experience, I found that the foods that people crave the most are usually the foods that they're allergic to. I don't know if you found that out.
It can sometimes be that, and people will often be surprised when their test results come back and they find out that, oh my gosh, this is something I eat every day. No wonder I've been feeling so crappy. And then other times the results come back and it might be something on there that person says, oh my gosh, I've hated that my entire life. I never eat that. And then they say, well, this is why, because your body doesn't like it. So it can go both ways.
Well, you are a delight, and I'd love to have you back either on this show or at the expo. You have a lot to offer, and it was a pleasure and valuable, very, very valuable.
Well,
so thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. I really believe that our health is really the only thing that we have, and we have more control over it than we have been taught to believe in our society. We don't have to resort to pharmaceuticals to really achieve a healthy state. There's so much we can do without that.
I love it. Okay, so you enjoy the rest of the day. Stay healthy, stay happy, share with everybody your knowledge. Everybody, find out what you're allergic to. Enjoy.
Thank you so much, Mark. Have a great day.
Thank you. So that was fantastic. That was awesome, I think. So our next speaker, Gina Michael. Gina and I have been friends with, I won't even tell you how long. That's how long it was. It's over 40 years. Gina is an internationally known seer and creator of Milfler Spa, one of the first holistic spas in Manhattan, holding degrees in acupuncture, massage therapy, aromatherapy, herbal medicine, And she also provides detox, weight loss, body reps programs along with foods as a cure. Gina is a storehouse of knowledge. And how do they say that? Without further ado, Gina Michael. Hi, Gina.